The scream of brakes tore through the rain. A convoy of black SUVs stopped before a shack that looked like it had been forgotten by the world. Inside, a woman clutched two children beneath a leaking tin roof, unaware that the gas canisters stacked beside her bed were slowly leaking. In the driver's seat of the lead vehicle sat Idris Hale, a billionaire known for rescuing dying companies but never people. Tonight that would change. He had come to this wasteland on the edge of the city to sign papers for a new mining plant. But as thunder cracked, something else caught his eye. A faint blue flame flickering through a cracked window. A child's silhouette moved behind it. "Stop," Idris said. "Sir, that's not on the route," his driver began. "Just stop." He leapt out into the rain, sprinting toward the shack. The air reeked of petrol and rot. Then came the hiss, gas escaping from rusty valves. Idris's instincts screamed danger. He threw open the door. A young boy, no older than 8, was trying to light a candle to keep warm. "Put that down," Idris shouted. The boy froze, wide-eyed. The mother spun around, clutching her daughter. "Who are you? Get out now," Idris yelled, pulling the boy away as the flame touched air. He slammed the lighter shut, tossed it into the mud, and dragged the family out seconds before a blast of smoke burst from the window. The explosion didn't happen, but it almost did. The rain smothered the spark just in time. The woman collapsed into the mud, crying. Idris's hands shook. He looked back at the shack. Beneath the roof were dozens of canisters, some marked with faded skull symbols. "Where did you get these?" he asked, breathless. The woman sobbed. "We didn't know what they were. We found them near the old quarry. We thought they were for cooking." That was the night Idris Hale saved a family he had never met, and the night his own heart began to wake up. Hey there, my wonderful family and friends. Welcome back. If you're ready to dive into today's story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. I love seeing where everyone's watching. And guess what? There's another amazing story coming your way tomorrow. One you definitely don't want to miss. Alright then, let's get started. The next morning, sunlight crawled through gray clouds, revealing the full ruin. The shack stood in a barren field dotted with old mining barrels and broken machinery. Idris's security chief inspected one of the canisters. "Sir, these are explosive remnants from the abandoned quarry. One spark could have blown this whole block." Idris turned to the family. The mother, brown-skinned, late 30s, strong but worn. Her name was Amira Bello. The boy, Leo, curious eyes, quick to smile even through fear. The little girl, Maya, quiet, holding a stuffed rabbit missing one ear. Idris crouched. "You can't stay here. It's dangerous." Amira lifted her chin. "Where else should we go? This is all we have." Idris glanced toward the city skyline. His world, glass towers and clean air, felt galaxies away from theirs. He heard himself say, "Pack what you can. You're coming with me." Amira stared, disbelief written across her face. "Sir, we don't need charity." "It's not charity," he said. "It's safety." Hours later, a convoy rolled through the gates of Hale residences, Idris's marble estate overlooking the coast. The family gawked as fountains danced in the courtyard. Leo whispered, "Mom, are we in a movie?" Idris almost smiled inside. Servants scrambled. The billionaire who never entertained guests now carried a muddy child through his halls. He ordered rooms prepared, clothes bought, food served. When they sat at the long dining table, Amira kept her hands folded in her lap. She couldn't touch the silverware. "You don't have to be afraid," Idris said gently. "Eat." Leo grabbed a slice of bread. Maya followed, giggling softly. For the first time in months, their stomachs would be full. As they ate, Idris's assistant, Clara Voss, appeared, tablet in hand. "Sir, your investors are waiting to sign the quarry deal." Idris looked at the muddy boots by the door, at Amira's trembling hands. "Postpone it," he said. "Sir, they've flown in from Singapore." "Postpone it," he repeated. Clara hesitated, then nodded. She'd worked for him for 10 years and had never heard that tone before. That night, Idris stood on his balcony overlooking the sea. The storm had passed, but the waves still crashed like drums. He thought of the gas canisters, the flickering blue flame, and the boy's terrified eyes. For a moment he saw his own reflection as a child. kneeling beside his father's body after a mining accident. The explosion that had orphaned him and forged his empire. He'd built his wealth on the ruins of that memory, vowing never to feel powerless again. Now, decades later, he had saved strangers from the same fate, and it unsettled him. Amira tucked Maya into the canopy bed, whispering prayers. Leo stared out at the glowing city beyond the glass wall. "Mom, do you think he's lonely?" he asked. Amira frowned. "Who?" "The rich man. He doesn't smile much." She brushed his hair back. Maybe he forgot how. Outside, Idris lingered at the doorway, unseen, listening. The next morning, Idris called Amira into his study. "You once worked as a schoolteacher?" "Yes. Before the school closed, the quarry pollution killed most of the crops. And the jobs. I want to rebuild that area," he said. "A school? A clinic? Clean housing. I'll need someone who understands the people. Someone I can trust." "Why me?" "Because you're still here, and because you risked your life to raise 2 children in a house of dynamite." Amira blinked back tears. "If you're serious, I'll help." He smiled faintly. "Good. Let's start tomorrow." Later that day, Clara approached Idris, pale. "Sir, I reviewed the quarry files. There's something you need to see." She handed him a tablet showing skin documents. His late father's signature on illegal waste contracts. The canisters found near Amira's home weren't random leftovers. They were dumped there by Hale Industries 20 years ago to save disposal costs. Idris felt the air leave his lungs. "You're saying my company put those explosives there?" Clara nodded. "Yes, sir. And the explosion that killed your father? It wasn't an accident. It was the same material. The room spun. The family he had saved had nearly died because of his legacy." That night, Idris sat alone in the dark study. The documents spread before him. His father's empire, his empire, had poisoned hundreds, maybe thousands. Amira knocked softly. "You haven't eaten." He didn't look up. "You shouldn't thank me for saving you. I'm the reason you were in danger." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Those barrels, that gas, they came from my company." "From me?" Amira stepped closer. "You didn't put them there. I benefited from them," he said bitterly. "My wealth is soaked in fuel and ash." Amira's eyes softened. "Then maybe now you use it to clean what was burned." After she left, Idris whispered to himself, "Clean what was burned." He opened his laptop, typed an order to halt the quarry expansion, and began drafting restitution plans. But in the shadows of his empire, someone was watching. Someone who didn't want the truth exposed. At midnight, Clara received a message from an anonymous address. "Stop digging into the quarry files, or everyone near Hill will pay." She looked toward the guest wing where Amira and her children slept. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Idris, what have we started?" Clara was already waiting, eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. "Sir, I traced the anonymous email. It came from inside the company. Someone in executive security." Idris frowned. "You think they're trying to silence us?" She nodded. "Whoever covered up those dumping contracts still works here." Idris's jaw tightened. "Then we find them." He turned to the window, staring down at the city that had built him. "No more secrets, Clara. Not in my name." Meanwhile, at the mansion, Amira helped coordinate early plans for the new community center near the old quarry. She'd gathered volunteers, engineers, even teachers. Leo followed Idris everywhere, curious about the machines, asking questions about the blueprints. "So, if you clean the ground, will the grass come back?" Idris smiled faintly. "Yes, Leo, the land can heal, just like people." Maya tugged his sleeve shyly. "Will you build us a park too?" "I'll build you two," he said, and her giggle filled the room. For the first time, Idris felt something he hadn't in years, purpose that wasn't tied to profit. Days passed in quiet rhythm. Idris joined the family for breakfast, helped Maya with homework, and listened to Amira's stories of the town before the mines. Clara watched all this with a strange ache in her chest. She had served Idris for a decade, silently in love with him, bound by loyalty now, seeing him soften. She wasn't sure if she felt joy or jealousy. The illusion of peace shattered a week later, during an inspection at the old quarry site. Workers unearthed a hidden tunnel filled with sealed drums identical to the ones from Amira's shack. But these were still full and wired to a detonator. Idris's heart stopped. "Call the authorities. Evacuate now." As sirens wailed, one worker shouted, "Someone rigged this place recently. The wiring is new." Clara turned pale. "It's not just old waste, Idris. Someone wants an explosion to destroy evidence." Before he could respond, a guard ran up with a tablet. "Sir, the remote trigger signal. It's coming from your own network." "My network?" "Yes, sir. From your corporate server." Idris felt the ground tilt beneath him. Someone inside Hale Industries was about to turn his past crimes into present catastrophe. They had minutes. Idris sprinted toward the control unit. Rain pelting down as storm clouds rolled in. Clara stayed by his side, shouting over the wind. "If you shut down the grid manually, you can cut the signal." "I'll do it," he said. "Get everyone clear." Lightning flashed as he reached the console. He yanked open the panel, sparks flying. His hands shook. He'd built companies, not defused bombs. Suddenly a voice crackled through his earpiece. Victor Hale, his late father's former partner, now a board member. "Walk away, Idris. The past doesn't need cleaning. It needs burying." Idris froze. "You did this." Victor's laugh was cold. "Your father started it. I just protected it. You exposed this. You lose everything." "I'd rather lose everything than live a lie." He cut the transmission and slammed the override switch. Sparks exploded. Alarms blared. He dove as a plume of fire burst from the tunnel mouth. Then, darkness. When Idris woke, he was in a hospital bed. Clara sat beside him, bandaged arm, exhaustion etched into her face. "You're alive," she whispered. "What about the site?" "Fire department contained it. You stopped the chain reaction, but Victor vanished." Along with several files, Idris exhaled shakily. "He'll go after Amira. She knows too much." Clara hesitated. "He already has, back at the mansion." Amira had been packing documents for the community project when men in black suits stormed in. They took her and the children before the guards could react. When Idris heard, he ripped the 4 from his arm and stood. "Where are they?" Clara tried to stop him. "You're hurt. Find the car," he growled. Minutes later, they sped into the night, tracking the signal from Amira's phone. Last ping near the cliffs by the old shipping yard. Rain poured again as Idris's headlights cut through fog. They found the family bound inside a warehouse. Victor standing over them with a pistol. "Always the hero," Victor sneered. "You think saving these strays redeems your father's sins?" Idris stepped forward, unarmed. "It's not about redemption. It's about right and wrong." Victor aimed the gun at Maya. "Then choose, Idris. Sign the release that says Hale Industries is innocent. Or watch them die." Idris's pulse thundered. He saw Amira's eyes, defiant, unafraid. "Don't you dare," she whispered. He looked at the paper Victor held out, one signature, and everything could go back to how it was. He took the pen and dropped it. "No." Victor's face twisted. "Then burn with your guilt." He pulled the trigger, but Clara lunged between them. The gunshot echoed. Clara fell, clutching her shoulder. Victor turned in shock. Idris tackled him. The gun skidded across the floor. They fought in the rain that poured through holes in the roof. Years of greed, guilt, and rage collided in each blow. Victor shoved Idris toward a stack of barrels. Unmarked, leaking gas. "You never learned, boy. Money makes the world explode." He grabbed a lighter from his pocket and flicked it open. Idris froze. "If you do this, you'll die too." Victor smiled. "At least history won't remember you as the saint who ruined us." He flicked the lighter, but Leo, trembling, hurled a wrench. It struck Victor's hand. The lighter flew, landing harmlessly in a puddle. Idris lunged, knocking Victor unconscious. Sirens wailed as police flooded the warehouse. Paramedics treated Clara. Amira embraced her children. And Idris stood in the rain staring at the lighter. The same brand the boy had tried to use weeks ago. "Full circle," Clara whispered weakly as they lifted her onto a stretcher. "You saved them again." Idris met her eyes. "No, Clara. They saved me." Days later, news broke. Victor Hale arrested for corporate sabotage and manslaughter charges. Hale Industries stock plummeted, but Idris didn't care. He dissolved the board, sold his private jets, and announced a fund to rebuild every affected town. At the press conference, reporters shouted questions. "Are you no longer a billionaire?" He smiled. "Maybe not in money, but in gratitude. I'm richer than I've ever been," back at his coastal mansion. Now filled with laughter, Amira watched the children plant flowers in the courtyard. Clara, arm in a sling, handed Idris a cup of tea. "So what happens next?" Idris looked at the family. "We rebuild, brick by brick, heart by heart." He walked over to Maya and Leo. "Remember that park I promised?" Maya nodded eagerly. "Well," he said, "I'll need to architects." Leo grinned. "We can do it." As the sun dipped over the ocean, the family stood together where the dynamite house once stood. Now an open field of new foundations. A sign read, "Hope Valley Community Center founded by the Hale family." Idris knelt beside the children, hands dusty with soil, smiling genuinely for the first time. Amira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes," she said, "it takes an explosion to find what's worth saving." He nodded, eyes glistening. "And sometimes, it takes a family to light the way." The camera panned upward to the horizon, sunlight spilling across the rebuilt town, washing away years of shadow. 2 months passed. The name Hale Industries once glittered across skyscrapers, but now it carried the weight of scandal. Stockholders fled, old partners withdrew, yet amidst the wreckage, something new was quietly taking shape. Idris didn't flinch when reporters called him the fallen billionaire. He'd lost contracts, mansions, even friends in high places, but what he gained was something he hadn't felt since childhood: peace. In the small town near the old quarry, construction began on a new school, a community hall, and hundreds of low-cost homes. The first brick was laid by Maya, with her little hands covered in wet cement. "Like this?" she asked. Idris smiled. "Perfect." Cameras clicked, capturing the moment. The man once known for steel and money now kneeling in the dirt beside a child. Inside the temporary site office, Clara managed paperwork with one arm still healing. Amira coordinated volunteers while Idris drafted new safety laws for all mining zones under his name. One afternoon, Clara paused at the window, watching Idris teach Leo how to hold a trowel. "You're good with them," she said softly. Idris shrugged. "They remind me why I started this. You used to say you'd never go near mines again." "I used to say a lot of things." He smiled faintly. "Then life put a mirror in front of me." She looked down. "About the day at the warehouse." He shook his head. "You saved my life, Clara. I thought I was going to lose you." He met her gaze. "You almost did. Don't make me repay that debt twice." She laughed quietly, eyes glistening. "Just promise you'll keep building the right things." "I will," he said, "with people who know what pain costs." That evening, Idris sat alone in his study, drafting an open letter to the remaining executives of Hale Industries. "We built an empire from dust, but we forgot that dust used to be someone's home. We chased gold through tunnels of grief. Today, I return what we took: land, safety, and trust. This is not an apology. It's a promise." He signed it simply, Idris Hale, former CEO, future builder. He sent it out, closed his laptop, and looked toward the sound of children's laughter outside. Later that night, Amira found him on the porch, watching the stars. "You can see them clearly here," she said. "In the city, the lights drown them out," he replied. "I used to think I liked that. Now I miss the dark. It makes the stars matter." She sat beside him. "You've changed everything for this town." He shook his head. "No. You and the kids did. You reminded me that broken doesn't mean worthless." She smiled softly. "When you pulled us out of that house, I thought you were an angel. Turns out, you were just a man trying to fix his own fire." He laughed quietly. "Fair enough. Idris, yes? Do you ever regret saving us?" He looked at her, the reflection of moonlight in his tired eyes. "Every day I thank God I did." The next morning, Clara burst into the office. "Idris, Victor escaped custody last night." He froze. How? They say he had help from an insider. He might come after you again. Idris exhaled slowly. Let him try. I'm not hiding anymore. Hours later, as workers left the construction site, a black SUV rolled up. Victor stepped out, thinner, eyes wild. You ruined me, Idris, he shouted. Do you think this circus will make people forget what you did? Idris stepped forward calmly. You're wrong. They don't need to forget. They need to forgive and rebuild. Victor raised a pistol. Forgive this. Before he could fire, Clara appeared behind him with two officers. Drop it, Victor. He hesitated, just long enough for Idris to grab the gun and twist it away. The officers tackled him to the ground as they dragged him off. Victor spat. You'll never wash your father's name clean. Idris watched him go, his voice calm but firm. Maybe not. But I'll leave a cleaner name behind. 3 months later, the ribbon-cutting ceremony for Hope Valley Community Center drew crowds from across the country. Children ran barefoot through the grass where the old explosives field once stood. Reporters filmed as families received keys to new homes. Idris stood at the podium, microphone trembling in his hand. I once thought power came from money, he began. But power comes from choice. The choice to use what you have to build, not destroy. He gestured toward Amira, Leo, and Maya in the front row. This family taught me that life can grow even from dynamite, if someone believes it can. Applause rippled through the crowd. Amira wiped her eyes, and for anyone listening, Idris continued, if you've ever done something you regret, start fixing it now. The past is heavy, but redemption is lighter than guilt. After the ceremony, Maya tugged Idris's sleeve. You forgot to open the park. He laughed. You're right. Shall we fix that? They walked to the playground, where a white cloth covered a sign. He knelt beside her. Go on. Pull it. Maya yanked the cloth away, revealing the Leo and Maya Park. For every child who deserves to play safe. Maya gasped. You put our names on it. Idris smiled. It's your story. I just helped write it. As the sun lowered, children filled the swings, their laughter echoing through the valley. Amira stood beside Idris, watching Leo help smaller kids climb the jungle gym. You've given them a future, she said softly. He turned to her. No, they gave me one. She smiled. Then I guess we're even. The camera panned wide. The once barren field now a living town. Houses glowing under evening light. They called it the House of Dynamite, a place ready to explode at any moment. But from those ashes came something far stronger than steel. Hope. One man's empire crumbled so that hundreds could rise. A mother found safety. A boy found courage. A little girl learned to dance again. And a billionaire learned what it means to be rich. Because sometimes the greatest fortune isn't in what you keep. It's in what you give away. 5 years passed. Hope Valley became a thriving community. Schools, gardens, workshops, laughter. Idris no longer wore tailored suits. He ran the foundation office beside Amira, who managed education programs. Clara oversaw safety reforms nationwide. Leo, now a teenager, built model houses and talked about becoming an engineer. Maya's laughter filled every corridor she walked through. On the 5th anniversary of the explosion that never happened, the town gathered at the park. Idris stood quietly at the edge, hands in his pockets. Amira joined him, still watching from a distance. He smiled. Old habits die hard. Come on, she said, taking his hand. They're waiting. He walked with her to the center, where a plaque read, dedicated to everyone who believed light could grow from fire. The crowd applauded as fireworks bloomed overhead. Not bombs, but blossoms of color. Idris looked up, whispering to the sky. We finally made it right, Dad. If you lost everything tomorrow, what would you still have that truly matters? Family? Faith? Love? Tell us in the comments below, because your answer might remind someone tonight that hope is still alive.
Thank you for watching all the way through. If this story moved you, the next one will surprise you in ways you won't expect. Go ahead and click the video on your screen. Your next story awaits.